Hi, today I'm trying to solve the problem on Leetcode number 121 named titled as best time to buy and sell a given stock. So here we are given an array and we want to find the maximum profit, and each array element denote a stock price. So and each array index denotes the days. So starting I start the array index from 0. So my first element at array in 0, like it's day 0. So okay, so day 0 I have selling price at 7, and day 1 the selling price as 1. So from the example explanation we come to know that the selling price should be always greater than the buying price. So we cannot sell the stock price from 7, and like at day 0 which was 7, and at the day 1 which is 1, and like 6 is not the maximum selling price at this, according to this example. So uh, I tried to solve the problem with various examples, and then I came across a pattern in which I noticed that like over here for 1 or for like 7, if there is any element which is greater than the current element, and if I subtract that value with my current element, then I get the maximum value. Like for example, if I say 7, if I find any element which is greater than 7 after where 7 occurs, uh, then it would be the maximum profit. Since in this given array there is no element which is greater than 7, then the value should return be either be 0 or minus. So if I iterate and come to the index 1, where the selling price is 1, and if I try to find the maximum of elements after 1, like in this set of an array, the value should be 6. So if I subtract 6 minus 1, which is 5, and that is the answer that we are looking for. So this is the pattern that I came across. So to solve this problem, I am defining different elements to keep a track. So first, this array length is just to keep a track of maximum. Okay, I'm looking for the nodes section. Okay, over here. So I'm keeping a track. I'm using the current element, a variable, to keep a track of which element, which element I am at, the maximum after that current element, and the maximum profit. So maximum profit is currently is initially initialized to 0, as you see over here, and I start iterating through my array from 0 to array length, and every time I get the max after that current element by calling a method where I pass the entire array, the current element, the index, the starting index, and the array length. So here, so in this method, which is like get max after the current element, here I would be starting my another for loop. This function is basically just returning you the maximum after a given element. So like let's start iterating with this given array, and the first iteration I would be taking in place would be 7, and here I would be calling this function. I would be starting at I is equals to 0, 0 less than 6, I plus plus. So the first condition is satisfied. I come inside the for loop. I call this function to get the max after the current element. So the values that I pass to this function is the entire price array, the current price, which is 7. So I is initially 0, so I plus 1, which is 1, and the array length, which is So the price array. So now in this function, I initialize the max to the current element, which is 7 in this case. Then I start iterating the array with the index 1. So it's 1 less than 6, I plus plus. So I would only increment the max if I find any element which is greater than the current element in this case. So since I iterate through the array and the first element would be 1, 1 greater than 7 is false. I gets incremented to 2, then 5 greater than 7 again false, 3 greater than 7 again false, 6 greater than 7 again false, 4 greater than 7 again false. So I increment to 7, this for loops breaks and the max value is returned as 7. So here the max after is initialized to 7. So here the calculation that takes place is 7 minus 7, which is 0 over here. So my time stock is initialized to 0. So 0 greater than 0 is false. So this max profit is not updated in the first iteration. So in this outer for loop, I again increment the value from 0 to 1. So now so I was 0 initially, now it becomes 1. So in this right now, when it tries to call the function, it would pass the parameters such as the prices array. The current value would be 1, I plus 1 will be 2, and the array length is 6 as it is. So we come inside this function. Now instead of 7, we initialize the current value to be 1. Then I would be starting from 2, 2 less than 6, and first value would be 5. 5 greater than 1, true. So in this case, the maximum is first time updated to 5 in the second iteration. Then the I gets increased from 2 to 3. Let's keep a track of I over here. So 2 is increased from 2 to 3. So 3, like 3 greater than 5, which is false. I gets incremented to 4, which is 6. 6 greater than 5, which is true. So now max is updated to 6. And one more time I gets incremented to 5, which would return 4. So 4 greater than 4 greater than 6 is false. So the max value returned in this case in the second iteration would be 6, and the initial price was 1. So the temp stock value, um, I need to update the variable, but yeah. So the value would be 5 in this case. The temp stock value would be 5. So 5 greater than 0, and this maximum stock price is now increment to 5. So which is a value, and if you keep iterating, you would only like only the first time then the max value profit would be updated was 5, and that is what it is returned. So we can also try to see if our logic works. So the current time complexity of my solution is big O of n square. Here the outer for loop will run till n, while the inner for loop is running every time till n minus 1. So big O of n into n minus 1, which is n square n square. So if we sum it, the solution should get accepted. Yeah. Thank you. Stop.